welcome back to Sammon's Pizzeria, where we are once again talking about the playoffs. It is playoff misery for our Partick Thistle fan, Kieran. How are you, Kieran?
Aye, delighted to be back on, and I'm delighted to be signed up for another season of the Scottish Championship podcast. Cannot wait, buzzing. But aye, delighted to be on. Listen, as I'll probably go on to say as we discuss the game in a bit more depth, but always felt that even the playoffs itself were a bit of a step too far for us, and we got there and got past the first hurdle, got past there, and Livi always a massive challenge, monumental challenge for us. But listen, we were there and that was it. And I roll on next season, I suppose.
Yep, you have got you've got another season stuck with me, so I'm happy with that. I'm not left
Listen,
alone with Eden.
Callum, I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining at all.
We're stuck together.
We are here
next
forever.
next season, next season we'll get promoted together. That's what will happen. We'll just leave Aiden by himself.
As long as we don't get relegated together, Callum will take it.
Who knows? Welcome to the new League One podcast. We'll just have to rebrand. Anyway, I'm joining Kieran in the playoff misery because for anyone who is watching on YouTube, you'll notice I'm wearing a shirt that isn't Reef Rovers or whatever it is. Maidstone United, they lost in their playoff final. So, we're here together. We're here together in playoff misery. But yes, it was the playoff semi-final for the Scottish Premiership, Scottish Championship teams, and it was Partick Thistle against Livingston, a repeat of what was the final game of the season, which I don't want to talk about. But Thistle managed to beat Ayr over the two legs, managing to come away with a victory at Somerset Park, which set up this rematch. Kieran, what were your... I think for many of us, our expectations going into this were it's a case of it can happen, but not likely. And yeah, I'd say that was your feeling going into it, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Now getting into the game, as I think I said in last week's podcast, and I just mentioned it there in the kind of introduction bit of tonight's episode. But it was we knew it was a monumental challenge, didn't it? But it was one that we were not so much excited about. But look, we went in with it, we had a bit of belief, a bit of hope, but that was all it was. It was a lot more hope and belief than confidence, really. But coming off the back of a 88th minute winner to get into the semi final, you've got to have that. But you've got to have that bit of confidence, and it's Partick Thistle in playoff season. Anything can happen. And pretty much as the game started, it was pretty much backs to the wall stuff for us for the get go. Really, Livi seen their shot blocked not once but twice in the same move in the box, and then Mitchell easily kind of gathers gathers across for I think it was Stephen Kelly, and then from the get go, Callum, they were seeming to be targeting the side Jamie Waugh was on, the young boy, and to be honest, I think people could see that a mile away. When the starting 11 was announced. But I thought he'd done okay um, for the challenge that was in front of him. But you could see Livi were targeting him, hounding him the entire night. And then we have a chance. We have a chance of their own through Logan Chalmers. But then it's just straight at the Livingston keeper. To be honest, it's straight at Pryor, and it's gathered pretty easily for him. And then we have a kind of sort of chance that I would say a half chance, but there's a move, a good wee move from involving Fitzpatrick, Graham, and Crawford, and Crawford's unlucky. It's for a tight angle, and it's just put past the far post. So it looks like we're starting to gather a bit of momentum, starting to go into the first half a wee bit, and then obviously Livi go up 1-0, and and as soon as they score, just instantly gives you a monumental mountain to climb. And I mean, if the mountain wasn't monumental before the game, it certainly is now when you're 1-0 down at home in the first leg. It was a well worked goal, I thought. But the two men on Montano, I think it was Macbeth and Megwa. If there's two men on one guy, you've got to win in the ball, and unfortunately, he just plays a pass, splits the two of them, and just straight onto Kelly to, dribble right down the left flank of in the left hand side, and puts it in for Pittman, who easily just slots it past Mitchell, and that's pretty much it. And then before you know it, we could have been easily 2-0 down as well. It was cleared off the line by Macbeth. I think Montano tried to chip Mitchell, and he got to it, but it fell to I think it was Stephen Kelly again, and then Macbeth just gets there in time to clear it off the line. And then you're in 1-0 down, backs to the wall, and you're already feeling the pressure, so to speak. And we're not really making any clear cut chances. We're not started the game as well, despite us having maybe one or two chances of our own. It was all Livi that first half. And that's pretty much a tale of the second half as well. The second half comes and it's just all Livingston. It's all Livingston. Montano and Wilson having a chance. Wilson tried a bicycle kick, overhead kick. It just kind of goes over the bar, and honestly, my heart was in my mouth. I thought he scored an absolute screamer, but it just hit the roof of the net, and it was a very audacious attempt to say the least. And then, if what happens, and it's Livi getting their second goal, which it was coming, considering the amount of pressure they had and the amount of chances they had compared to us, and the tie's pretty much done there and then, pretty much. It's a bit of a scramble in the box, and Wilson just cannons it off the bar, and it goes over the line, and that's it. You're hoping to get a wee goal, maybe a wee consolation, takes it into Livingston. We're right back in it, and we had our chances to do so. But at the same time, it could have been a hell of a lot more than 2-0. Livingston had a lot of chances after they went up 2-0, but as I said, we had our own chances to call one back, at least get a goal back, get ourselves back into the game. Ashcroft goes on a mazy run, and he hits the crossbar. I think it was like 10 minutes before the end, and then the Graham sitter.
Well, in the first half as well, I think that's two semi-finals in a row where he's missed a big chance that could have changed things for Thistle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no comment. I know.
Yeah,
obviously,
if that was like going off that first leg, I watched for about the 20th minute onwards, I think, if I remember correctly. And the entire time it was a case of, Livingston have this under control, but but as you say, however, like the chances that you did have, it's like with last week, you only lost by one goal against Ayr, and even if it's one goal, you still feel like you've got more of a chance than if it is two. I mean, it's like when trying to think when Reef were in the playoffs against Ross County last year, when I think we lost the first leg at Starks Park 2-1. But it's like even then going up, and it's like Ross County were by far and away the better team in that game. It was just like I think I got to like 5 minutes in and I thought, oh God, what have we got ourselves into? Help! And but even then, it's like going up to Dingwall only being a goal down. You still got that bit in you where it's just like, yeah, we can do this. I feel like this can happen. This can happen. And it's just like see when it's a 2-goal deficit, you're just like, nah, not happening.
Definitely.
But as you say, as Partick Thistle play of football, anything can happen.
Yeah.
Apart from getting promoted, obviously.
Pretty much. But as you said, as you kind of alluded to, Callum, it's it's an absolute sitter, to be honest. If you're praising him for his goal on Friday, you've got to question why he's not put that in the back of the net on the Tuesday. It's an absolute sitter, but it's a good ball in for Logan Chalmers, and I don't know if it comes up too quick. And it's just he's not had much time to think about it. He's just kind of ran on it and hope, but he's got to be putting that one in the back of the net 9 times out of 10. Every week it's in a he's put that ball in the back of the net. Graham, so it's an absolute brutal miss, and if we're being honest here, it could have probably changed the complexity of the tie. But that is what it is.
It's like the Livingston goal from Pittman wasn't that long
Mhm.
after it, was it?
No, no, this was at the end. The Graham City at the end.
I thought he had one in the first half as well.
Graham, no,
No,
no.
no. I've got
I know Crawford had one. I know Crawford had one in the first half, but
oh no, it was at the end. No, it's just because the commentary was saying about it like possibly
he had two
high,
in the
so
first
I
half
must have,
against there.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, no,
But as we're saying, it's just it's a brutal miss. You know what I mean? He's absolutely delighted to get that goal away here. The 80th minute scores two, and then on the Tuesday night, only a couple of days later, he's kicking himself that he's not put that chance. He's not buried that chance and put it in the back of the net. You know what I mean? And if he scores that, you're probably going into the second leg, which we'll obviously then go on to and discuss. But you're probably going into that with a bit more belief and not so much confidence. You've still lost the tie, but as you said, we were only one goal down to Ayr, and we managed to come out on top in the second leg, and that was only one goal deficit. But saying that, throughout the game, we didn't really create much. You know what I mean? Didn't he? Like we only really started to create much when we were 2-0 down, 10 minutes before the end of the game. So I think overall you can't really argue with how the game panned out in the first leg. The Livi were probably by far the better team, and as I said, it could have been a whole lot more than what it was. It could have been probably 4, 5. Considering the amount of chances they had and the amount of scrambles they had in our box. So then kind of leaves the Thistle fans with a consensus like among the support that before the game it was we go to Livingston to just get behind the team, see what happens. But overall, I think we know the tie that it's pretty much game over. But it's not over till the fat lady sings. You know what I mean? And are you allowed to say that now? Fat lady, it's not over till the fat lady sings. I don't
I will
know.
not consign to the woke agenda.
One
You are
season
allowed
in,
to
we
say
were
what you
taken off
want.
the air. Shocking. Yeah, if it means I don't need to come on here and discuss Partick Thistle heartbreak in the playoffs, I'll take it. But and then as you say, you just go into the second leg for us personally. It was just we need to get behind the team, show the team the appreciation for how they've carried themselves in since really the Falkirk game. We've been dead on our feet since then, maybe even before. I'd probably even go as far as say Dunfermline away, but our players were looking absolutely shattered. And especially considering we then went to the top two teams and beat them both, and the squad's got to get credit for that. And it's even though we did lose at home to Ayr in the first leg of the playoffs, it was still an excellent good couple of weeks. You know what I mean? Especially the way down to Ayr. I think that second leg down in Somerset will live long in the memory of a lot of Thistle fans, especially myself. It was an absolutely fantastic day out and a fantastic result. So the squad, as I said, deserved their appreciation for that. And then obviously you've got reports literally coming out the day before the game that it's probably potentially Graham's going to be Graham's last game for us, and you're like, it's an absolute hammer blow. Hearing that, I think it was released not even 24 hours before the game on Friday, and it's kind of gutting. But then you're like, look, if it is to be Graham's last game, he deserves all the credit he gets. He deserves a fantastic send off for him being an incredible servant for Thistle. And then honestly, I thought before then Livingston would go on and take the lead, and we'll go on to that. But I thought we were a better team. I thought um, we were a better team without creating many clear cut chances. We had most of the pressure, but again, if you've got all the pressure, you've got to put the ball in the back of the net. You know what I mean? You've got to at least make the keeper work. And we had a few scrambles in the box. We just couldn't put the ball away, and I think that was the tail of the two legs. To be honest, Livi had that quality, that cutting edge to put the ball in the back of the net. We didn't. And it
Yeah, I
just
think
shows
that's all
you.
we've been saying about Livingston all season, though. How it's just like they don't
Uh,
really impress in any games aside from as that 5-0 win against Ayr, but it's like they just have that edge to them. That does mean they can see out these sort of. They do get these sort of results, and that was very much the case. It's like, yeah, there was a fair amount of pressure from Thistle, but Livingston just looked comfortable
mm-hmm,
during it.
definitely. Don't get me wrong. I did think we had them panicking a bit with the balls, but with the balls were putting in the box and the half chances we had, but they were Livingston were dealing with it well. It's just bread and butter to them, really. It's David Martindale's game, and it just and then Livingston take the lead. I've got to confess, I think I was down the toilet. I think then I went to go for a pie, and I hear a roar, and I'm like, oh, fuck's sake, what's that? And then you hear it's 1-0 Livingston. You're like, God's sake, you know what I mean? And that's the tie pretty much done, to be honest. Um, it's a hammer blow, to be honest, because as I said, I thought we were doing well, and we were not, as I said, not creating clear cut chances, but we had them on the ropes a wee bit, I think. But they've just, as I said, Callum, they've got that quality to just go up the park, weather any storm that's coming their way, and put the ball in the back of the net, and it just shows you why they ended up 15 points clear of us at the end of at the end of the season. You know what I mean? But it's the defence. I think for that goal, defence should be doing a lot more, especially close out. But Jamie Brandon before he takes a shot, especially for that angle. And I think Mitchell's probably a bit questionable in keeping the shot out too. But what can you do really? They've got that quality to finish that, and we're absolutely dead on our feet running on. I think our energy. I've been hearing on the other Thistle fans podcasts pretty much saying that our energy tank's running on E, and it pretty much is. You can see that we're dead on our feet.
It
And
was almost like
that
it was below E.
yeah, yeah, aye. We don't really after that goal don't really give much of a response really. We won a corner on the second half, but nothing really comes of it. And then the second goal for Livingston. I mean, it's a fantastic finish for Stevie May. Absolutely fantastic finish to especially see Mitchell be off his line like that and react quickly to lob it over him from like what outside the box, maybe 20-25 yards.
About that distance.
Aye.
Yeah, it's
But I think the defence has got to be dealing with that a lot better. I mean, the amount of space we were giving them,
it's an
it's
incredible finish though.
it was. Aye, and I mean, if the tie wasn't over when we were 1-0 down, it's certainly over when we were 2-0 down. Just completely kills the game off. I mean, the game fizzled out after they got their first, but after then it just kills the game stone dead. And I, but I think that goal just shows you how on the night and especially over the. And I don't want to like think I'm making excuses or try to play this Thistle underdog gimmick or whatever, but we were absolutely shattered, especially in the air game. I think that goal just pretty much sums up how shattered we were.
It's like
And
Livingston have had the extra week,
aye,
a week of rest, whereas you have played another 2 games.
aye. So it's pretty much after that, nothing in note happens. Tie's done, and I mean Graham gets a free kick, but he puts it over the bar. You know what I mean? And that's pretty much it. And then full time is done, and that's it. That's another season we've not made out the playoffs. But I've got to give a shout out to the Thistle support. They were absolutely fantastic. I think if the playoffs are won on fan backing and fan support, we win it every year. Pretty much within it. The support was absolutely fantastic. Despite being in down out, we're 2-0 down, 4-0 in aggregate. We're still singing. We're still backing the team. We're still supporting the team no matter what. And it's it's disappointing. That's 4 playoffs in a row now we've been in, and 4 playoffs we've been involved in, and 4 times we've not made it out. But I think
it's 2 semi-final defeats in a row now, whereas there was a final defeat to Ross County, and what was the other one?
Quarter final Inverness.
Okay.
And
Inverness in the promotion playoffs just doesn't sound right at this point in time.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh wait a minute, Inverness were a competent football team.
In the 21-22 season, it was under McCall, and we pretty much stumbled into the playoffs, to be honest.
A bit like this season, then.
Pretty much. I mean, saying that, we were there on merit. Beat the top 2 teams.
He's been like in the top 4 pretty much all season. But it's like the way he's got in at like the end. It's like as a neutral for like these playoffs, it's like see this semi-final where Livingston have just comfortably pushed you aside 4-0. I'm just sat here thinking, where the fuck was this on the final day? Why couldn't you have done this like 2 weeks ago, Livingston?
I don't know. I certainly don't know how we won that ourselves, Callum. I don't know if it was a case of us defending well or Livingston being nervous because it was title day, and obviously they find out Falkirk are winning and all that kind of stuff. Personally, don't know, but I think on that night we were absolutely fantastic. But on Friday it just wasn't to be, and it is what it is. And I did, as I said, but the support were absolutely fantastic, singing throughout the whole 90 minutes, regardless of what the result was. Given I felt if it is to be Graham's last game of the season, or last game for Thistle altogether, I should say. It was a fantastic send off for him. Obviously, we didn't get the result we wanted to give him a perfect send off, but at the end it was a bit an emotional send off we gave him. I felt, and it's since the hangover, the fallout of the playoffs, it's just been who's going to be the next manager, what's next for Graham, and all that kind of stuff, and who we're going to get in. And honestly, I just want a break from it all, man. I still don't have the answers. I think if there's been 4 managers now been shortlisted for it: Paul Caddis, Dougie Emery, Graham, and James McPake. And I kind of say that with a shudder. I've said it in our group chat, Callum, the big one, but
no,
I really don't want us to go anywhere near McPake, to be honest. He got Dundee out the playoffs, didn't he? But other than that,
was a Dundee side where it's just like, yeah, you should have been getting out the division anyway.
Aye.
They also cheated in the playoffs against us.
Aye, but then you look. He won the league with Dunfermline in League One, but he should be winning that.
Yeah,
really should be winning that. And then his 2 seasons in the Championship, I think the 2 teams that the 2 seasons in a row, that I thought that was seen on Twitter. A lot of Dunfermline fans were wanting him out in both seasons.
It's like they were wanting him out by November in the first season of the championship.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, he's managed to survive the season. How has this happened? This is going to be a right laugh. And it's like he still kept on surviving. And he didn't get sacked until what, January this year? It was January, I think it was, that he lasted to. And it's like, I'm just wondering, it's like, how has this happened? It's like, how did he make it so long in the championship? It was like, it's not quite as bad as what it was with John Rankin with Aki's, how it was just like even in League One they were the fans were wanting him gone because like
Aye.
I mean at least with McPake and Dunfermline he won League One, whereas Rankin was shite in League One but still managed to stumble through the playoffs. But it's like with McPake it just wasn't good, and then it's like as you mentioned with the other options, Dougie Imrie would just be very funny from an outsider's view, just because of what would happen between your lot and Morton fans, especially as like you versus Aidan or Manfred as well, because they keep on going at each other in the group chat, and it'll just be a right laugh. I think it's one that will make no one happy.
No, absolutely no chance. Yeah, the whole Dougie Embry thing. I think everybody just needs to chill out. To be honest, there's talk of people like. There's talk of like Thistle fans cancelling their season ticket, not renewing their season ticket if it gets appointed, and I'm like, come on to France, you know what I mean? Like, I can understand the guys a divisive character. I get that, but sacrificing like unless it's something really dodgy at a point,
it's like Imrie's just a bit of a wanker. It's not like he's a criminal, you know. It's like. When we signed a certain striker, we had people boycotting the games. So it's like it's like that's understandable. It's like not like this, although it is very funny to watch.
Aye, definitely. I mean, but I think there's just mass hysteria really over it, but like it does kind of fill me with a bit of dread. But listen, if he gets we won't know until we appoint him. But the thing is, we can't really afford to piss about with this appointment. We've got to get it right. And personally, I think the number one candidate I'm taking, if that's the four that's on Barraclough's short list, sorry, to appoint, I'm taking Graham. I'm taking Graham and Wilson over the four. Paul Caddis, don't really know who that. I know he played for Scotland, and I know him as a player, so to speak. But as a manager, yeah, I think he managed Hereford. But there's a lot of Thistle fans saying that is like the dark horse choice. So, like he's second in people's lists, just so Emery and McPake don't get it, and you're like,
yeah, no, he's at Hereford. He's the Hereford manager down the National League North or whatever it is they're in.
I think that could be because as well, if you look at it, Barraclough has had links with the lower league in England in the past. So I could kind of see how that would work, I suppose. But again, do we go down the route of? I mean, the last time we appointed someone that didn't have a link to Thistle was Gary Caldwell, and see how that turned out for us. But there's just a lot of questions around the future. I mean, I'm not the man making the decision. Thank fuck for that. I just hope we get the appointment right, whoever it is. We can't afford to piss about with this appointment. We can't afford to take risks, really. So, I mean, you're kind of, and I know financially, I think next season we're going to be a bit, not saying we're going to be skint or anything like that, but we're not.
The lottery money is running low.
Yeah, aye, we're not going to. Our budget's going to be pretty much cut, so to speak. So, we've got to take that into account as well. I know there's people shouting about the Tony Docherty, leaving Dundee, and people. I would take him in a heartbeat, but you need to think. We need to think wisely about this with the financials we've got to play here. I personally don't think we'll be able to afford Tony Docherty, but I mean, if I can, I'd take it. I'd absolutely take it. I know there's Callum Davidson that's available as well. I would take Callum Davidson as well. Um, but he's not even on the short list, which is surprising to me. But
Ian Murray.
aye, 50-50 on it. I know that's a lot of people's like first choice. My first choice was Reece McCabe, but that's where he
I like
leaves.
how as a Rovers fan on Twitter where it's like every single time someone has been signed, it has been great job for her, Ian Murray. It's just like it's been nearly a full season. It's been a full season. It's just like how is he still out of a job? I wonder what the payoff is like. But yeah, I suppose it's like the final question is, of course, with Brian Graham. I believe he. So as you say, it's like there's rumors about this being his last match. This is technically the end of his interim period as manager. He's left. He's leaving the women's team at the end of the season, I believe.
Yeah, he stepped down. He stepped
Yeah,
down.
he's stepping down. Is he out of contract as a player as well?
He's got 1 year left in his contract.
He's got 1 year, so it seems like it's just a case of is he just going to retire at this point? Because
I think that's I can't see him playing for another team. He did say he's been interviewed for another championship club. I don't know whether that was in January. I don't know whether that was at the start of the season, but he did come out and say on, I think it was Sky Sports, he'd done an interview with Sky Sports after the Livingston game, and he came out and said that he has been interviewed by a championship club, but he felt at that time it wasn't right to leave us, which is fair enough. But again, we don't know what timeline that was. We don't know if that was in January. Don't know if that was, at the start of the season. But that's what he's come out and said. And I personally think if he does leave, I think he does retire. But if he doesn't and he goes to another club, generally wish him the best. And he's been he's been an absolutely fantastic servant. Getting to 100 personally, I would love him. Love him to stay another season. Perhaps he could break Doolan's record 121 goals. But I think he seems kind of set in his ways. If he doesn't get the job, and there is a bit of credit in the bank there for Graham. I think if without a question, if he did get us promoted to the top flight, or at least get us into the final, he would without a doubt get the job. But obviously, because I know we've been kind of put out the semi-finals and a bit of question marks over should we give him it. But I look, listen, whatever happens, wish him the best. Wish him the absolute best. And there's no bitterness here unless he moves to like Morton. Or I don't think he'll be moving to Morton. I think he's very set in his ways about how he feels at Morton, as are we all. But unless he moves to that, I don't even know. Like, even if he moves to Rafe, I know he used to play for Rafe in the past, but personally, I don't. I think he'll want to stay local. That was the reason he moved back down to back down from Ross County Oz to take a pay cut, was to be with his family. Back down the road when he signed for us in 2020.
I was going to say Queen's Park, but they put whoever their interim manager was as permanent manager. I can't even remember his name. That's how bad it is. It's sort of like, really, the guy who ran over that is being kept on.
But no, whatever happens. I think it's going to be a very, very interesting not even coming month, coming weeks, I would say, for us. And I think by now we'll have a full picture. Hopefully, we've got a full picture of who's going to be taking the reins for Thistle, who's going to be leading us, and who's going to be having their hands on the Scottish Championship trophy next season, Callum.
Aye, and of course with this result, it does mean Livingston are through, and with this now being done after the Premiership has had their final weekend, we now know that it is, of course, Ross County for the third season in a row who have ended up in these playoffs. And there have been talks in the past weeks that haven't come to anything about league reconstruction, playoff reconstruction, that sort of thing. And I think it's like at this point with Ross County having been in this situation now for 3 years, and it's just like it's just like no one ever gets promoted out of these playoffs. It's like we did say about Dundee getting promoted, but it's like it just doesn't happen. And I'm of the opinion that it's just like we really need some sort of league reconstruction reform to make it easier for teams to get through divisions. It's like East Kilbride, I'll mention them in a bit later. It's like they've got promoted through the playoffs after like the fourth attempt at them, which considering they've won the Lowland League now, God knows how many times, it's just mad. And obviously, it's like the two of us, we've seen playoff final heartbreak against Ross County, but yeah, it's like I'd imagine we're on the same boat when it comes to we need reconstruction at this point because it's just getting ridiculous.
Absolutely, and I think if you speak to the players as well, remember the league reconstruction as a whole. You speak to, I think I remember watching a podcast that was with Stephen Lawless I think it was a couple of seasons ago, just before he moved back to us. I think it was that season, a season or two before he moved back to us. I think it was during the Euro 2021 tournament actually, and he says that look, all the players are pretty much wanting it. They're choking for it. It's far too repetitive for them now. That they're playing the same teams every season. There's no change there. And I've got to agree with him as a fan. It's quite repetitive, and it's very repetitive as a fan, really. And I think really the time to do it was lockdown. Obviously they didn't do it.
That's because you
And now
just
there's
wanted to
talk.
stay up.
Not just that, Cal. I mean, I'm thinking of the greater good of Scottish football. But no, I think if there was a time to talk about it, it would have been then. And there was rumours. I think Livingston even introduced a plan for it, and it was widely supported. It gets swept aside, and there's talk of it again. I don't see it. I don't see it, but it's something that needs to happen. And in terms of the playoffs, listen, it's very much in the favour of the top flight team. But I don't know. I don't know, to be honest. Again, it's no mine or your decision to make. So thank God it isn't. Because we'd end up upsetting somebody. But it's brutal, and I think the way the championship, the Scottish Championship playoffs is pretty good the way they do it. But again, you would need to match it up with how the top flight finishes their season, and it's just a whole mess, to be honest. And
Yeah, it's like one of the criticisms is the fact it's like with Ross County, it's like their past 2 weeks they'll have played 4 games, whereas if you were one of the teams who finished third and fourth, you would have played in that. You would have played what five? It's like you would have played Tuesday, Friday, and then whatever again. Whereas like for Ross County, it was Saturday. They had a midweek, a Saturday, and then the previous one was going to be another Saturday. So they're going to have much fresher legs and whatnot for it. There is also, as you say, it's with with players wanting it. It's like with Reagan Tumulty when he went down to Hartlepool. One of the things he said was about how it'll be different playing teams only twice a season versus the 4 times a season. And I was working out there for a second. If you are in the championship or like in the lower leagues or whatever, you have the potential to play the same opponent 9 times in a season because you've got the 4 regular league games, Challenge Cup, Scottish Cup, League Cup group stage, and then 2 more playoff games potentially.
yeah,
And it's like it's just mad. It's like we really need to get something. It is something that I'd say a lot of people are dying for at this point.
yeah.
As you say, it's like COVID was a real missed opportunity. It's like that's really when it should have been done, but for whatever reason, just wasn't. I suppose we should move on to the other playoff, the one that nobody wanted. It is Airdrie against Cove for that final championship spot. Um, Airdrie, they managed to get past Stenosmuir in the previous round quite comfortably. I think we would say it was just Stenny didn't really
Mm-hmm.
have a chance, but as we said, it's like they just got promoted from League Two, so it's like fair play to them for getting into this position in the first place. Cove, meanwhile, they managed to beat Queen of the South 2-1. Unfortunately, I'm not afraid to let my bias show here. I don't even like Queen of the South. I just don't like Cove. I don't. But yeah, it's like with this one, it's like the first leg was up at Balmoral, and Dylan McDonald would get the opener for Airdrie, header from a corner, 16th minute. It was a pretty nice header, I will say that. And then Cove themselves would get an equaliser from a corner, but it came off Lewis McGrattan. So, own goal. That was in the 35th minute. Meanwhile, Lewis Strapp would score again. First time finish at the edge of the box. Ball's like cut back to him in the 63rd minute, and Airdrie were, I'd say they were comfortably the better side, judging off the highlights package. And then with the second leg, once again, there was I could not find highlights. It's like not even Airdrie had the highlights for it, so it's like God knows what's going on there. But it, it was a 0-0 draw, so not really missing much. But yeah, it's like these results do mean that Airdrie have managed to stay up, which we were seeing would happen at about February, March time when Airdrie started to pick up, and we were just like, oh, hold on a minute, they might do this. They're showing like mid-table form, Accies and Queen's Park and Dunfermline are shite. But it's like they stayed up in a very unconventional manner after their Buchan-esque start. Um, Aki's point deduction ultimately being what saved them from the very end. It's like if Aki's were in this playoff, they were going down. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, but they were going down. They were awful. Whereas Airdrie, with the momentum they've had since the new year, it was. I think we did say beforehand, yeah, Airdrie have got this.
I think you've just echoed what I think. Really, obviously, they kind of hit a bit of a slump, and I think it was just before the Aki's statement was made. But even then, going back to like even when we've played them this season, they actually impressed me. They didn't look like a team that were down the bottom end. Really, they just couldn't really the defence, and obviously they were hampered by injuries and whatnot, but they just couldn't stop conceding goals. And it's ultimately it's led them in the situation that they're in. And but if you told me like before Christmas time that Airdrie would end up managing to stay up through the playoffs, I would have laughed at you considering how terrible they were and the position they were in the league at that time. But I know I don't really want to give Airdrie too much credit. You know what I mean? I think everybody knows how Thistle fans and likewise pretty much anybody
Everyone,
feels about Airdrie.
there's a reason why the song "Everybody Hates Airdrie" exists.
But I
But
know fair enough. They stayed up, they managed to survive, and when it seemed that we're pretty much down and out, and I think that's obviously what happens with Aki's got a massive part to do with that. But I think some credit's got to be given to McCabe, to be honest, for them basically getting him in this position. They still could have not been, even with Aki's like point deduction,
yeah,
how
like if they
they were, as I
continued
said.
if they continued their first half of the season form, then it's just
Yeah,
like they even with Aki's getting 15 points deducted, then
yeah,
Aki's would have still stayed up.
yeah,
It was
aye.
that bad.
But I know, good on him, and suppose I look forward to another 2 trips away to Airdrie next season. Can't wait for that.
Said no one ever, but yeah, it's like as you were saying, it's like Aki's really having. I've got myself a table up here that shows the second half of the season. Um, yeah, it's like Edry would have finished 7th. They got 3 more points than Dunfermline that time. It's like they got 23 points for the last 18 games, which when you consider they started in the first 18, they got 6. it was pretty bad. It's like Dunfermline in that time, 20 points. Aki's 18. That's obviously discounting their point deduction. And then you've got Queen's Park only getting 10 points. So, yeah, that's going to be fun. An interesting thing to point out, if it was just the second half of the season, Livingston would have won the league by 2 points. But, so yeah, it's like fair play to Edry. You know, it's like I think it's like by Christmas time when they were set on 6 points and we're like a million miles away. You were just a case of, well, this is just fucked, isn't it? Like there, you just better hope that this isn't you're going to reach double digits. But no, it's like they have managed to stay up. Granted, a bit of fortune with the Aki's point deduction as mentioned, but you know you can only do with what you can deal with. It wasn't exactly their fault that Aki's are a complete mess off the pitch. You know, it's not every club gets a 25-minute video on them. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, we might as well mention the other 2 playoffs because they're all done now. That's everything. It's just the Premiership final between Livingston and Ross County to go. East Fife have come up on top. They've managed to beat Annan 4-3 on aggregate in the League One playoffs, so they'll be in that division this season.
Have you seen Dick Campbell's record in the playoffs?
It's remarkable. It's remarkably good.
He got us promoted in 2005-06, from League One to the Championship. They beat Peterhead in penalties. Up at Balmoor Stadium, I want to say Peterhead's ground's called, yeah? Balmoor?
I think so.
Yeah, but I know his record in playoffs is absolutely fantastic. Not saying I want him back or whatever, far from it.
He's like Scotland's Neil Warnock. He's just an absolute god at the lower levels, like League One, League Two, even in even his championship stint with Arbroath. It's like he's a man who will get a club promoted.
Absolutely.
It's like if you're a semi-professional team and it's like you have the opportunity to get Dick Campbell, you're gonna want to get Dick Campbell. he just gets you promoted.
I know an East Fife fan. I know a couple. One in particular I'm very close with, so proud of them for that and congratulations. Hope they had a fantastic weekend to deserve it.
Yeah, it's like fair play to East Fife. They will all have a Fife derby again, seeing as they'll be in the same division as Kelty. Unfortunately, Dunfermline's not down there. But yeah, it's a weird one with East Fife. You know, it's like when it comes to those Fife derbies for East Fife, it's like their biggest rival has always been Cow and Beef because it's been them two stuck at the bottom. It's like, yeah, East Fife had a bit of a time in the top flight. They won a couple of Scottish Cups and a League Cup, I think, around about World War II. But it's like, for as long as I can remember, they were always a League One, League Two club. I couldn't tell you if they've ever been in the Championship in like the past 25 years. So, you know, it's like, I don't exactly have ill will against them as a Wraith fan. You know, it's like, I don't like them. You know, they're another Fife team. You know, if we play against them, but it's like I don't really. They're just sort of there. It's like, granted, the derby days are fun, but yeah, it's like fair play to them. I mean, I did predict them to win the league. Peterhead managed to pip them to it, so fair play to them. I had a look through my pre-season predictions. Not good. I'm really not good, especially the Championship, which considering
I predict us to win
it's the one that I watch all the time and have done for years. I got the Championship so wrong.
I predicted Thistle to win the league, Wraith to finish second. I don't know who I predicted to finish bottom. I think it might have been Morton. Just because how, like, I know a few. I was speaking to Evan McFarlane, and I see him out and about. I seen him out and about. Had a few pints with him before the season started, and he was saying that they were fucked and they were a ball head away for going down. But you know, they managed to stay up and finish in sixth, so good on them. Not slagging anyone off here, especially since our manager might be ever soon. So Don't
I
really
put
be caught.
Morton ninth. I put Morton ninth, and it's like looking back, I think it's like the two of us should have just been like, why did we do this? This is Morton. They always finish fifth or sixth.
I think I put Airdrie in like fourth as well.
Yeah, I had
In the
like
playoffs,
Edry like somewhere in
I
the
think I
middle.
had them in. Then
The thing is, it's like I don't think anyone could have predicted Edry having that first half of the
no,
season, especially after last season. It was like I thought they were going to drop off a bit, but it's just like just seeing that opening spell of like, getting 6 points at Christmas. It's like how what, and of course, as mentioned. With the League Two playoffs, we have a new member of the SPFL. It's East Kilbride. They have finally won these playoffs at the fourth attempt. They managed to beat Bonnyrigg 3-1 on aggregate. They won 3-1 at East Kilbride and 0-0 at New Dundas Park. Bonnyrigg do have the distinction of being the first team to earn promotion and get relegated through these playoffs. So, congratulations, lads, you are history makers. Although they did get themselves into this situation through a points deduction. So, that means the Championship, League One, and League Two also teams get relegated with a points deduction. So, congratulations, Inverness, on getting a points deduction and staying up. And St Johnston, you've ruined it. You ruined like this perfect streak of everyone just getting points deductions and ended up relegated. But you've been to Bonnie Ground, New Dundas Park, haven't you, Kieran? So
hmm
would you say it's a shame to lose them from the league?
it's a shame to lose a social club. I would say for the pyramid, right next to the stadium, can't beat it. But I look, listen, I went to see them at home to Edinburgh City just near the tail end of the season. I think it was about a couple of months ago now, and they were piss poor. They were even Edinburgh City weren't that good that day either, but they were absolutely rotten. But I know it was a fantastic social club to be honest. The guy who ran it was very hospitable to me and my associates I was with that day. Um, it's sad. It's sad to see people like that go. In all seriousness, like they are the heart and soul of the clubs. They are the people that are keeping the clubs running, and for them now down to the falling down to Lowland League,
Hi,
it's
back
a
in the
sad
Lowland
state of
League.
affairs. Like it's people like that I mean, you feel sorry for the players and that as well, obviously, and the supporters, obviously, but like, it's these people that they're like kind of lifeblood of the club, and as well as the supporters, and it's kind of sad to see, but aye, the stadium's some it was some stadium to tick off, to be honest. I don't think Thistle would have been played a many times soon or whatever, but I know it's quite sad, when you've obviously I was only there once, but it was a fantastic day out. And I kind of think on these people's and think about what happens next for them. You know what I mean? It's their livelihoods, really. You know what I mean? These social clubs and that. It's quite sad.
Yeah, it's like with East Kilbride being out of the Lowland League, it does throw it just wide open because it's like every
Mm.
year it's always a case of East Kilbride are winning it. But yeah, it will be. It is a shame to see them drop out of the league, but I do have confidence that they'll be back, especially once they've fixed the pitch. I should have
Right.
probably asked. It's like they did. It was a case of their pitch just being absolutely shocking, and every time I've used images of the ground for videos, I've just been like, that looks not good. And for what I've heard from people who have been there, it's like, yeah, it's not a surprise what happened with the pitch. It is a shame it has happened in the way it's happened, but it's like their time in the top flight. So it's like their first season they finished eighth, but it's like they stayed up on the final day. Same again happened last season when they finished eighth, staying up on the final day. But this season they still had a chance to stay up on the final day, but unfortunately, I think it was like fourth. I got a win or a draw or something, and so it's like they went down goal difference. But yeah, it will be interesting to see how the Lowland League goes next season without that obvious winner uh, of East Kilbride. If there's anyone who I want to come up from that league, it's going to be Linlithgow Rose. I I've been to their ground a few times now, and it's just brilliant. It's just a really good away day.
I just want a pub crawl in the pyramid, Cal.
The pub crawl just seems perfect because you got the stadium and it's like 4 or 5 pubs, and then you got the social club right next to the ground. It's a proper. It's a proper. It's like Lithgow's a proper old school non-league ground, and it's like they've got all the licensed stuff. They actually have a pitch that won't get them a 6 point deduction. I'll be interested to see just not Caledonia Braves, please, just not them. But saying that is like with the Highland League, you've obviously got Brora. They won the league this season. They made it to the playoffs, but again, it's like they do have a license, so it does. They do have the required license. You have a bronze license, so it is a case of when they do clearly want to get promoted, because that's a thing that people throw at the higher league teams. Whether it's a case of do these teams actually want to get promoted? Is like, I think who else up that level? Brecon, they could see a return. They've always been up there in the higher league. You've got Barkey, they won the league a few years ago, but they couldn't compete because they didn't have the required license. That would be a fun away day. That would take like ages to get to, especially for Stranraer. I think Bucky is to Stranraer is slightly further away than Peterhead to Stranraer. I think it's slightly further away, but yeah, it's just like I'd like to see just new teams coming through. So it's like congratulations to East Kilbride on their promotion. Yeah, I suppose that's all for this week. I don't think there's anything else that needs covering. So I suppose next week it'll just be a case of the playoff final, and who knows? We'll probably do an end of season, full season review thing for each club at some point after that. But yeah, of course, there is the tournament, the Pizzeria tournament that's happening, that we're taking part in for Dementia Scotland. Of course, charity is the most important thing, but to me, winning is. I want to win this. I want to win this tournament. I've got my goalkeeper. I've got all my goalkeeper stuff. I did a tournament. I did a content shoot thing with Gogsy for explaining everything. I've got my brand new gloves. I've got my brand new boots. I did order. I thought it was just a top. No, it was a full kit. So there's a very good chance I will be a full kit wanker for this tournament. So have fun with that. But yeah, as mentioned, we'll be back next week to cover the final and just a review of every team's season. And yeah, that's all. So goodbye. See you next week.